and women police officers are armed the same way. If you're gonna be in a test for if you're gonna be a police officer, you gotta be in shape. So that's obvious. Coming to a police test, if you're not qualified to have a decent physical strength or physical abilities, then you probably shouldn't be a police officer. But police tests are not a good way to determine good officers. Men and women are not equal in the police enforcement. And even when women are in office, when they do get the job, they are discriminated. They don't have the same benefits as men. So you can be a women police officer, and as soon as you get the job, a male is getting promoted because they have because the male has maybe a better just has a more physical benefits in that case. And studies show that women statistically don't get the job for being an officer. Or it's more likely for males to get the job. So yeah, so women and men officers, they're all equally armed with a weapon. So in the active duty, say there was a chase or they had to stop the criminal, a woman officer can always pull out a weapon and use its force in that way. So the physical test in order to get the job is it's not really relevant in that case. Another thing that women should make sure they know before they even apply to be an officer is that they should know what kind of office they're getting into, because many police officers have different rules. They have different testing. So one police enforcement could be more or less diverse when it comes to men and women. So not every police office is going to have the same rules and same ways to get in. So females should really be aware of what they're getting into before they choose to be in law enforcement. So those are just some things that should be acknowledged when it comes to men and women in that field, because there is discrimination between men and women. That's a definite. So women have to know coming into the job that, all right, maybe this isn't the best office for me. Maybe I don't feel comfortable being in this office. So they should pick an office that's right for them. And not every police officer is the same. So according to sources, some women officers go into an office and immediately they're discriminated. And it shouldn't be that way, but it is. So that's that.
Do they have any time of rebuttal left?
Yeah, they have rebuttal time left.
Do you have any rebuttal?
Oh, we rebuttal now?
Some points that they were saying, just to reiterate, they said that women shouldn't be less. In this way, we agree. We don't think that the physical testing should be less for women. We think it should be even more. Main reason being is because they're statistically physically disadvantaged. Women are smaller in structure, height, bone structure, weight, on average this is, and also you can look at the biological structure of women. They have less testosterone than men. Testosterone helps build muscle faster, and therefore another statistic from Dr. James Dobson, the one Travis mentioned, was men are 50% stronger than women on average in brute strength. But another one is that men on average, an average-sized man, his strength is stronger than 99.9% of women. So if a woman wants to be a police officer, we want them to be held to a higher standard, because there are men criminals. They have to do things. They should be more they should be more capable of taking down a man than even a man would because they are at a disadvantage. Another point is that why would they be required to do less? They have the same job. They should be better because of their physiological makeup. Women and men do the same job, but again, as Dan was saying, they all have their weapons. Is this physical test and training really even valid? Women need to be able to take down a man. They're the most common and violent crime, and they also touched on the equality and civil rights, and not just in the police force, but statistically in all jobs. Men and women, they still aren't equal in a lot of testing.
All right, so now we have the rebuttal of the Prime Minister.
Need our conclusion?
Not your conclusion.
I rebuttal.
Rebuttal.
All right.
And you can, and they all have time for a full rebuttal. You have 4 minutes right now for a rebuttal.
All right. I don't know if you guys actually just realized, but they did actually help us prove our point a good amount. We aren't simply trying to lower the standard or lower women in any means. We're trying to actually raise the bar to where the men's standard is. So if the standard is actually right here for women, we want to bring it up higher so that women are capable of doing these things. As you heard from our counterparts, they said that that police are skilled in judo by a according source. I don't hear a legit source from there. But also another thing is they talked about how men are 50% stronger than women. Well, let me just tell you guys that strength is a construct and not a biological fact. It's actually said that boys are socially taught as boys to bulk up and be bigger than women. So therefore, men will be bigger than women when they're men. They said that women should be held to a higher standard, and we want equal tests. Also, from one of our counterparts, Dan, he said that there would be a situation when he or she is on the scene of the crime that they may not have to do just 25 push-ups. No, but they might have to run 25 feet to sprint and catch somebody, not just drop down and give up their duties and just do 25 push-ups. In conclusion, we would like to raise the bar for women and also hold them to the same standard. And with that was come, oh no, thank you. Sit down, Myra.
All right, that's the last of your rebuttal? All right, we have the rebuttal of the opposition, 3 minutes.
All right, Scott, there's some good points, but yeah, you want to raise the bar equal to men. We want it above men. That's our whole argument. We want it above men because they're disadvantaged. If men and women were built the same way, then we'd want it to be equal, of course. That's what the civil rights is all about, but no, we want it to be better because they are at a disadvantage. They need to be better. Say you had a woman partner, just because she is a woman and she is probably smaller than you on average, if she could be taller than you, but most likely she's not going to be as strong as you. We want her to be tested higher than you. That way you have confidence in her. Say there was a police chase. One of the most important physical testing, I agree with you, is probably the 1.5 miles. And since women are they are smaller, we would want them to be even faster than men in case they had to get into a chase. We would want them to be tested higher. We would want them to be better. Also, you brought up this is a very dangerous job, and for women, we mentioned that men have thicker skin, they're stronger, they're bigger. It is dangerous. We're forgetting that they have weapons, and we don't think they should be held to the same standard. They should be held higher just because they're disadvantaged. That's all I have.
Okay, all right. We will move on then to the closing arguments of the opposition, so now you may go ahead and give your conclusion.
In conclusion, as we discussed, we don't think that the women should be tested lower, and quite honestly, just because they're already starting out lower from men, that they should be tested higher, not equal, because you know, equal is not equal. It's inherently unequal, just because if a person of 180 pounds is doing 25 push-ups and a person of 130 pounds is doing 25 push-ups, they require different strengths to do that. So they have to be better. They have to be able to prove themselves in their size and their ability, just because their partners are probably going to be male, their perpetrators are probably going to be male, and they have to be able to do the same jobs as a male. Like I said earlier, the differences for the New York State Troopers, at least, is significant from the entry level of twice as many push-ups, over 2 minutes, and a 1.5 mile run. Women are smaller, they have smaller legs, they're going to require more effort to get the same time as a man, and a 1.5 mile run is they're gonna work harder. We want them to be able to do that and have higher standards than men to, again, prove themselves, because unfortunately, as I said, there is an inequality. There is a lot of looking down on women in the workforce, and they have to usually work harder to prove themselves, and they can do that. And as Eleanor Roosevelt said, a woman is like a tea bag. You can't tell how strong she is until you put her in hot water. That hot water is any negative situation while on the police force, and you want to see what she can do. I bet you she'll surprise you. Thanks.
Okay. We'll move on now to the closing arguments of the Prime Minister, which does include a short amount of rebuttal.
A short amount of rebuttal.
You may begin with a short amount of final rebuttal against their comments.
Okay, so for what our counterparts said, they say women aren't as strong, but they should be held to an even higher standard. It's pretty contradicting to say that, because there's less women in the workforce right now for police officers now, and they're already at a disadvantage. So by raising it, not only making it even to men and the test that they're doing, they want to raise it even higher than that. We'll eventually, I guess, basically see no women in the workforce, or women police. So if they don't want women in the workforce, well, we do. That's basically what we're trying to say. And they also brought up how women don't really need to be as physically fit because they have weapons. And we believe that weapons should be a last resort, and you should be able to be physically fit enough to take down somebody with your hands or with a less lethal way of doing these things. So in conclusion, equality, safety, and capabilities of women were the 3 topics we used to persuade you that both tests for men and women should be the same. Cops should be held to the same standard for our own well-being. And I'd like to finish with a story that actually 2 Sundays ago, me and Will were sitting down watching TV, and also we heard a knock on our door. And it happened to be a man with a gun trying to get into our house. We actually got the door shut, kept him from getting out, and called the police. Guy was hopping fences through our backyard. Cops had to chase him down. They eventually got him. If there was an underqualified police officer because they had to take a less qualified test, who knows what would have happened. So, all in all, an underqualified officer puts me and the officer itself in danger.
All right, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you've had a chance to hear both sides of this debate. If you believe that the affirmative side of Scott, Will, and Brett took the day and felt their argument better, please raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Is it unanimous? Jamie, how are you doing? All right, let's see what the other side says. So, if you believe that the opposition upheld their end of the bargain better, please raise your hand. We do have one. All right, Jamie. All right, thank you very much.